Hello, everyone. Welcome to Contact Lost, the Polish podcast about Warhammer 40k, the competitive scene both in Poland and abroad. I am your host, Tweak, and with me, I have my trusty co host, Joker. Hi, dude.
Hello.
Good to have you and to hear you again. And today, we have a special guest that, if you listen to the previous episode, you should already know who that is because I made a tiny, preview, or I mentioned who that might be. So, without further ado, please welcome the interim captain of the German national team, Fred Otto.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Hi, Fred. It's great that you agreed and that we get to talk. So the inspiration for this conversation, for this episode, basically came after I saw a post that you've made on Facebook. That post said that you are starting the recruitment process for the German national team because you're building a team for the now World Team Championships. And I immediately thought, holy crap, that's amazing. So maybe we should find out how Germany does it, because we've spoken so much about how Poland does it, what the Polish methodology is. But since this is supposed to be a European show, I need to start inviting guests from Europe, not only from Poland. So here you are. So listen, I guess we can start with the questioning. So in the pre-show, you said that you are the interim captain, not the actual captain. Why interim? What does it mean? And for how long are you going to be the interim captain?
Yes, thank you. So the German team is now just forming, and usually, of course, you think of the team as the 8 players. And my impression now is that we need much more people, many more people than we used to have a proper team in this kind of time. We are now, Warhammer's getting more professional, and you could see even in the last years when there was a ETC, a European Team Championship, that people brought coaches, even media guys. So when I made this post, I wanted to have have the invitation out to everyone in Germany who wants to be part of the team and want to contribute. Come on, join us in our Discord and say what you can do and how you can help. And and I'm the interims captains because there's no proper team yet. I'm trying to build it. Due to COVID, and then obviously the tournaments that were not happening, there hasn't been really a team Germany. And actually, I always look with some envy towards the Polish scene and what I hear from all these team tournaments you guys attend and all these TTS sparring. We don't have, I don't know, 8 or 20 people active in the Discord who consider themselves to be the team Germany and just play TTS all the time against each other or against other nations. I had multiple times where other international captains from other teams said, "Hey, do we want to do a sparring?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I want, but there's no team." It was a bit, everyone like. It's kind of like a long story, but after the 2020, we all fell asleep. Then there was some activity again when I was able to make a last-minute team and say, okay, we're going to be the team Germany scouting and attend the Greek Hammer WTC style TTS team tournament. Best time ever. And we had a team with like new and old people, like new and old players, and were able to compete and even win the whole thing. But after that, we had like one sparring match against you guys, and then quickly became, oh, okay, everyone has other things to do. I hope that in the future this will not happen again. I mean, of course, we probably hopefully don't have this kind of situation where the WTC will not happen in 1 year or something, but also that if there's the time in between, okay, this year's WTC and next year's WTC, there's still a team, there's still activity of people training together, I don't know, entertaining the community, preparing boot camps, sponsoring, whatever. That's my goal right now. It's not that easy, but I'm working for it.
Okay.
Good, because I know the guys from Team Poland would love to play you guys again on TTS. just to train a bit.
Yes, looking forward to this. Actually, like now we have like it's not only me anymore. I was able to gather some people that I could probably really call like they are part of the team in a broader sense. And if you might maybe know Martin, who has also played in the Greek Hammer tournament, and many players he played against or teams even recognize him because he played such a ingenious Space Marine list back then. He's now organizing our sparrings, and I think we have our first sparring against the Canadians, and then I'm sure we're gonna get to you guys too.
Yeah, eventually. I heard from
Yeah.
Tiffles when he proposed sparring, and then you said something like, "Yeah, maybe in August," or something like that. It sounds like your schedule is full already.
This was last year, right?
No, this was like I spoke to him, I don't know, a week ago.
Oh,
about
then he should pressure Martin again.
Okay, then I'll let him know, or hopefully he listens to this so he'll figure
Yeah.
out himself. Anyway, so look, we are like neighboring countries. We are very close to one another. We compete at the WTC, to get the best spots and so on. But I feel like we hardly know anything about your meta, about your the way you operate and so on. So tell us something about the German competitive scene. You said that you don't really have a fixed team. So do the German players, first of all, how many are there, if you know? And second of all, do you focus on singles or team tournaments? Is there that mindset of feeding the national team with players, or do people rather play, on their own accord?
Oh, this was many questions.
Yeah, sorry.
Where should I start?
So is the scene big, basically? Let's start with that.
I don't know. I hope I think it's growing. It's definitely growing. I feel like there's this doing the quarantine TTS, so tabletop simulator, tournaments on the tabletop simulator. Like we have this like the after and before the Greek Hammer, we have these Warhammer tournaments, which I'm part of the team we organize. There's a Discord, Target Priority, which basically has taken the place of the big forum. Like there's no internet forum people use anymore. Everyone goes to the Discord, and all these new content creators. This all kind of happened in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say. And during quarantine, it has gathered a lot of interest of new people coming in. There are people who don't even know what was before Corona in the scene. They don't know. Oh, there was tournaments back then. And I feel there's a growing interest, but I have no idea how many people are there. I can say that like we had a ranking of this one national ranking. I think we had like 500 people who like had an entry in it. So that means they at least went to one tournament. That was before Corona. So I don't know how about now. I now see it's growing because the tournaments are getting bigger. We had maybe 2 big tournaments in 2019, and now we already have 5 announced.
Right. So in the sorry, Joker, just one quick question. In the pre-show, Fred, you gave me a list of the German tournaments that are going to take place, for example. You also have a bunch of ones that have already taken place. So I'll change this question a little bit, and maybe I'll ask, when you organize a tournament, you know how many people you expect. In the previous tournaments that took place, was the turnout actually what you expected, and were those all the time the same people, or were there new people coming?
No, there are definitely new people who came to it, joined the scene in the last few years, and people are actually crazy right now. If you put your tournament online and it's a 2-day tournament, people drive to your place through the whole country right now. It's crazy. I'm a bit afraid. Like I hope it doesn't stop. Like after it's just some trend. But right now, maybe you have also the Baltic Cup in Kiel, which has been running for some years, like 5 or 6 years. I don't really remember. But they used to be the biggest tournament, and then they were on hold for now with Corona 3 years, I think. And they just put it online onto the tabletoptournaments.net. They didn't make an announcement on social media. They didn't make a YouTube video. Nothing, but immediately like over 100 people just paid to get the entry fee. It like immediately got there. So they really want to go. And I think it's growing and it's big. And I think we still have some place for you guys. You should come over.
Yeah, I think this is the intention of this podcast as well. So we'll try to somehow get people to come. Joker, you had a question.
Also, sorry, you need to give me a list of Polish tournaments, which I can also hand out to.
Oh, you can count on us. You can
Okay.
count on us. We will.
Good.
We will do that. Joker, I guess you had a question.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about those tournaments Fred has kindly sent over, the majors announced in 2022. And yeah, I mean, if there's an expectancy of like 180 to 140 players, and you've just said that over 100 people already paid for that Baltic Cup, then it seems like, yeah, the scene's growing and there are quite a lot of people playing. So that's definitely more than we have. So that's pretty cool.
By the way, there's in Baltic Cup, it's now 180 people who paid.
That's pretty cool. We're jealous because it's very hard to get that many people in Poland to come and be in one place.
What's the biggest tournament in Poland?
It depends if it's singles or teams, because I think they don't really compare. So if
That's from attendance.
From attendance perspective, it's always the Polish Team Championship. So it was like the third event after Corona last year, and we've had 130 people, if I'm not mistaken. And that was also the attendance the last time we've had that before Corona. So in 2019, we also had 130 people. But I'm expecting that this year we're going to get more, because even single events are getting more and more people coming in, because this year we've had 60 people in Warso for the first GT of the year. Now we've got another event in Krakow in March, and 80 people are signed up. So it's filled to the brim.
Nice.
There are as many people as the venue can take in so far. So that's really good. It's really positive.
So before Corona, I can say that also 130, that was like the maximum for the long time in Germany. So this was like this was the highest, and now we're already topping it, at least from people who are paying for the tickets right now.
So I can't help but ask the question, and Fred, you're a much better player than myself. So you will be, I'm sure. So you will be the right person to answer that. And Joker, you can tune in as well. Would you guys say that what you just said, the amount of players, the ever-growing amount of players, is a testament to the game, the meta, being in a good place? Or is it that the tournament organizers are putting more effort in? Which one is it?
I don't know what to say to this.
Is the meta in a good place?
It was supposed to be one of the later questions, but the meta is weird. It's super weird. I don't know. I think the 9th edition game is becoming better. The game is becoming better and better in general. And I think the 9th edition is fantastic. The missions are great. The new books are all fun to play, and the models are beautiful, and 3D printers are great, and all this stuff. And the internet has, hail the internet and so on. The game is more accessible than ever, but yeah, I mean, it's super weird because like every new codex, every new book that comes out is basically just a beta version of it. And I could give you a whole speech about why like everything needs to be digital, but that's boring. Obviously, everyone knows that. I think there's just so many stuff that's going on. The game in general is great. That's what bringing people to the tournament, and all the content creation. You can watch competitive Warhammer on YouTube all day, all long. Don't pay a single penny for it. You can learn the game. You can watch live streams from Las Vegas Open. Like I have a comparable, like for international standards, like a super tiny YouTube channel, and we just put made a restream of the LVO stream, and we just double our viewership because I just put like some Sunday like LVO, and people immediately watch and tune in there because they are like, wow, okay, this is happening. This is great stuff. This is cool stuff, and I think it's very exciting. But of course, from a competitive standpoint, it's really weird, and we shouldn't be beta testing this crap.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's so we always welcome a rant. So that's always good.
Seems to be our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that's a topic here. So
it is. So knock yourself out. If there's anything that you want to rant about, you're welcome. Yeah, but onto the the questions that I wanted to ask. Again, you've mentioned before we started this that Germany doesn't really have like a fixed team, right? That there are not many players who have the ETC/WTC experience. So I understand that most players specialize in the singles meta and not particularly in the team composition meta. Do you see that as added value or as an issue maybe?
No, I think it's a huge issue that we don't have any team tournaments anymore. Maybe there was one small one here, another small one there. I don't know, when there was a time where we had very big team tournaments with 140 people in Germany or so, and it really ran out of fashion. I don't know why. I can't really say. I think it has to do a lot with maybe some individual club stopped organizing the tournaments, and then no one else does it because it's just so much work. Yeah, I hope it can get bigger again. I don't know. I feel like I don't know, how is it in Poland? I had the impression that it's more of a bigger circle surrounding the team, maybe because already the scene is a bit smaller. In Germany, there's so much going on about, okay, there's different scenes in the German scenes, and some people don't like each other, and there's some gossip here, and someone like had a bad game with this guy, and then the other had a bad game with this guy, and then they all don't like each other anymore, and then this, like, as I said at the beginning, the team is just the players, and the players just want to play, and then they also kind of like set together a team that they want to go with to this tournament. It basically like any other tournament. Actually, there has been a comment when we in 2019 first talked about sponsoring. Someone said like, why should a company finance my hobby? But the idea was, wait, we are not just doing your hobby, we are like being the national team. We are like representing the scene. So this is like where we more want to go to. But if the national team is just a hobby of 8 people, then there's at least 400 other people who are not part of this hobby. So they're maybe also not that dedicated to be part of this team because they're not the friends with them or whatever. And yeah. I hope I don't know if I answered the question, but there's definitely not enough interest in teams, and it's definitely not an advantage that we have fewer teams. I think the team, if there's many team tournaments, then people would maybe be more interested in that, and I'm trying to change that a little bit.
Hi guys, it's Tweak and Joker. And we want to say sorry because at this point we needed to take a short technical break. But every cloud's got a silver lining, so we will use this little break for some announcements that we wanted to make anyway, but we forgot at the beginning of the episode. So the first thing is we wanted to let you know that the Polish national team is organizing a bunch of auctions to support people in the Ukraine and some charity organizations that are supporting them. And these actions have already collected about 450,000 Polish zloty or PLN, which is an amazing amount. It's more than 100,000 euros right now, with only like geek-related merchandise and topics. So the Polish national team has gathered some announcements from the Polish players who are willing to sell their armies, auction their armies so that money could be delivered to people in need. And we will place some links to those auctions in the video description. So if you want to support the cause or you just want a cool army at a reasonable price, then please do check out those armies because you can help with this topic. So that was announcement number 1. Please make sure that you check out the link in the video description. And the second announcement is our guest Fred provided us with a list of tournaments that will be taking place in Germany in the near future. And we just wanted to let you know about them and to provide you some info on where more info could be found. So I'll just list the tournaments now, and in a moment, Joker will do the same for the upcoming tournaments in Poland, and then we will move on to the rest of the show. So the nearest upcoming tournaments in Germany would be a 100-player tournament called Fireback Alliance Open 2022. This will take place on the 16th of April, and you can find the link to register for that and the rules pack and so on in the video description. Another one is a massive 180 players Baltic Cup 8 that will take place on the 7th of May. Again, link in the description. Another one, 240 players Air 40K 2022 on the 18th of November. So there's still time to register for that, but a link in the description. And then one more, the 140 players Hanseatic Alliance Open in Bremen on the 30th of September. And again, please check out the link in the description. Some amazing tournaments. We will do whatever we can to bring as many Polish players as possible to those, but it would be awesome to see you guys there as well. So give them a look. And now moving on to Joker to talk about the Polish tournaments.
Yeah, so we've also got a number of tournaments coming up. And obviously, we want to expand to the rest of Europe and have awesome players from different countries coming in. So we've got a number of events announced. First of which comes at the last weekend of March. That is the tournament's named Arena, and it's happening in Krakow. Unfortunately, that is sold out at the moment, so there will be 80. It's an 80-player singles event, which I think will be the new record high attendance for a singles event in our country, which is amazing and very exciting. After that, on the 7th and 8th of May, there will be a doubles tournament in Katowice, but the rules pack isn't available yet. After that, first weekend of June, 4th and 5th, we have the Warso Team Championship. So that will be a 5-man team event happening in Warso, 2,000 points. And yeah, the rules pack's already out. It's in English, so anyone can read it. And apparently there is space for 40 teams, so that's 200 people. So yeah, make sure you come into this one because obviously it's probably easier to go to a team event far away rather than a singles event because you could just get along with a couple of friends and go and play. After that, we have on the last weekend of June, we have a 2,000 point singles event in Bydgoszcz that can welcome 150 players. And after that, we'll have, I think there will be some events in July as well, but I'm not 100% sure. But 2 weeks after the WTC, and during the last weekend of August, I will be organizing the Tri-City Heresy, which is an event that's been ongoing for a couple of years back, but I am hoping to do that as a 3-day event this time round, playing 6 or 7 rounds. So that should be a novelty in Poland, and I hope that anyone who's listening to this can make it and yeah, be part of history in the making, if you will. So I'm hoping to house 100 players and confirming the venue tomorrow. After that, I'll start working on the rules pack, and obviously I will plan to do lots and lots of coverage about that event on the podcast here. And last but not least, on the 17th and 18th of September, we should be having the Polish Team Championship, also in Bydgoszcz. So 2 tournaments in Bydgoszcz this year, which apparently has spots for 30 teams of 5 players. So also feel most welcome to attend any of the aforementioned events. And before we go to carry on with the show, I just like to add to the Ukrainian cause. Team Poland has been doing an amazing job gathering all sorts of materials to auction off. And we also want to contribute, but we need to iron out some ideas, and you'll be hearing about them in the next episode.
All right, thank you for that, Joker. And now back to our wonderful interview with Fred. And here come the rants.
And we're back. So jumping straight into the next question. Fred, tell us please, what factors do you take into account when assembling the team? What plan have you got, if you're willing to share some light on it, of course?
Yes, I would love to. So for this year, we have put together a council of 4 people, which I hope will be able to choose the 8 players from all the people who applied. And these are people who follow the scene a lot, are known by I guess everyone who's also somehow part of the scene and follows anything or any Discord chat. And yeah, and also maybe are representative a bit for the broader, for the different scenes, I would say, because as I said before, because the scenes are separated, and if it's only like 4 people coming from Berlin who are all Fred's friends, then maybe this would not make much sense, and there would be strong bias. Yeah, and their job is to find the 8 players. They don't really have like any predetermined things that they have to take into account. They need to figure out as one voice who are the 8 players are supposed to be. But I personally, of course, can say what my factors will be, because I'm also part of the council when choosing the team. And I think first I think about the team composition. How well does the player fit into a team? How do the different players I think are good in which different factions fit together? That I think is the first thing. And to be honest, there's also a bit like this, for me, this politics and representation topic, because as I said before, I don't think the team is only like the hobby of 8 persons anymore, but more that's the national team. It's supposed to represent the scene, and it's supposed to help the competitive scene grow, and people give them more motivation. They want to be like more active, more determined, to do more training, go to more tournaments. So maybe they also can be part of the this national team and represent. So this is also a factor for me. So I wish to have maybe some good diversity in the team, and maybe players also with good reputation than bad reputation. But this is only my personal factors. I also can't take into account the whole topic of about different factions and so on is something else, I would say.
Okay, so like, yeah, when you mentioned the factions, will you be looking at what is, for example, top of the meta right now, and then you will try to find players who fit into that, who play those armies? Or will you more look at the players and their skill set and their armies that they play, and if they are good, reliable, strong, you're going to take them independently of what is meta right now?
So as I said before, this is only my own opinion. Each council member has their own method, and we will come together and present as unified what we think is the best team. But I personally think you can really first go by players, because if someone's a good player, they can play different armies in their playstyle. They maybe not be able to play all armies, or not play certain armies in a playstyle that may be better than what is their playstyle like. But I think I would definitely go with first, okay, see who are the, maybe, usually it's like 4 people maybe who are really good player. They have played different armies over the season, I would say, and you can see what they can do with it. And then take a look and are we having the good armies with us? Because while I somehow naively think if you just have the best players, you can just pick any army, and we can even bring, I don't know, Chaos Space Marines. Yeah. So actually, there's Chaos Space Marine builds, and if there's a really good player who has been playing that, I think that can be very valuable to the team. But obviously, if it's not already like the by 4 top picks of the players, there's no one playing Chaos Space Marines, and then there's someone else playing maybe Chaos Space Marines and hasn't performed that well, or I don't think this is the best player ever. Then I would first think, okay, but should we choose, I don't know, like Custodes? If we haven't had Custodes in, then probably it's better for the team to have a Custodes player in there. Right. And maybe if we don't have a Custodes player, but maybe one of the top players can play Custodes, we can switch around a bit. I think that's always important, that you somehow make sure that like I think someone can bring score a lot of points, maybe with Space Marines, and then let someone else who is maybe not less experienced, let them score points with Custodes, and then the skill level will maybe gap the power level of the armies, if that makes sense.
Does.
I don't think that's very revolutionary or anything, but just I think that's
it's just makes perfect sense. So yeah, that's the right way to go. And did you have any sparrings already? So we mentioned before that you will be looking at TTS results and so on. So has let's say, have the candidates for Team Germany played any sparrings already, and how did they go?
Yeah, so the last sparring we had was against you guys in spring 2021.
Okay. How did that go? Because I don't know.
No, we didn't have any sparrings recently because the team was like non-active. Everyone was playing single player most of.
So nothing at all.
Nothing of 2021. We are having our first Germany versus Germany sparring actually this weekend. And if you want to watch it, you can watch some of the 16 people who have been part of the Team Germany before, or want to be part of the team, or just want to support and be part of the sparring. Actually, this weekend, Sunday, the 13th of March, in the Target Priority Discord, there will be a Discord stream. We're gonna do a sparring and just want to give it a go, and everyone can watch if they want.
Okay,
I don't know if this reaches anyone, but maybe.
Do you know what armies you're bringing for this weekend?
So there's definitely Custodes. there's Tyranids. There's actually Necrons. Necrons are like really trending right now because everyone thinks, oh wow, if you just spam as many destroyers as possible, then it's actually an army. Surprisingly, very few Eldari, just one Eldari, one Drukhari. GC, we have 2 GC. So yeah, first we were expecting if we do the sparring, everyone's just gonna show up with their single player armies. But after we told them, yeah, but it's a team tournament, everyone kind of switched armies, and now we're kind of quite diverse, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so so you're doing the whole thing, right, with the pairing process first and just seeing how it's gonna go, or have you got some matchups decided already that you just want to see how they pan out, or how the respective players manage in those?
Oh, I think this is more for advanced people like you guys. We are at the beginning of doing this TTS internally, so we just randomly put these 16 people into 2 teams, and made sure that the factions don't double in each team. And now we're gonna bring the people who haven't been part of this process. We're gonna basically brief them on Friday, and we're gonna do matchup expectation Excel sheets, the fun part of Warhammer, with them, and then we're just gonna do a real pairing, just like in a real team tournament, to give everyone the feeling for it, and so on. I don't know. Is that something you're supposed to do? Do you guys do that? You make proper, like, see if, I don't know, this guy can defend against all these armies?
Yeah, Joker, you should have that experience, right? So tell us.
No, not really. I mean, there's also a boot camp this weekend, and I think that I have to check, 'cause I haven't been following it too much, and unfortunately I can't attend myself. But I think that one day the guys are doing something akin to what you plan to do on Sunday. So they split into 8-man teams and then just pair up and play games. And then I think on the Sunday they use the team selectors sometimes just paired up different people against each other, exactly just to see how the pairing plays out, or how that player handles, a difficult pairing, or can they actually, max out the points in a pairing that should be estimated, dark green or something like, 17 plus points,
That sounds great.
Yeah, so Joker, when you were playing Ireland, for example, on TTS, did you also have to go through that? Did you have to, estimate like how you are going to perform against your opponent's armies? Because you were part of that, right?
Yeah. Of course, we did the fun part, as Fred said.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's deeply necessary, and also if people do it, you can like, as for choosing the players as a council member, or even as a, like, maybe captain or whatever, or if someone has a responsible position in the team, you can learn so much about the players, because you learn if someone is able to estimate how their matchup's going to be. You're going to learn if the person is able to, like, maybe point out what are the factors, like the variables. Like, he's going to say, oh, I need some forests, or I need this map or something. Or if he's just going to say, oh yeah, this is a bad matchup. And also if the person is actually doing the fucking pairing table or not. If you have to keep shouting at the guy, hi, we want to do the pairing 10 minutes ago, where's your estimations? We cannot do it, because these people, you don't need them in the team. Yeah, sorry, that's my rant.
Yay, we have a rant. Objective, accomplished.
And there's still space for rants in the next questions.
Oh, yes.
Right, so what was up next? Jeez, I got lost.
Oh yeah, I was looking forward to this one.
Sorry, what was that?
Is that the terrain one?
Yes, I think it is the terrain one. So what do you think of the current terrain layouts of the current WTC maps?
Yeah, so first, I think on the positive side, just having many ruins, it's great, makes the game interesting. It's much more dynamic than having just these huge boxes as in the US Open layout. You have like these 4 giant 12 by 12 area terrain ruins, which are ridiculous. It's much more fun, and it's also it gives you decent side blocking terrain, unlike maybe some other tournaments, which we don't complain about now. But it's also somehow ridiculous. It's, from a TO point of view, it's so much terrain, and like right now, like just a week ago, we made a tournament with 25 sets with WCT terrain made of MDF, like this pressed wood stuff, and it's so much terrain. And it's great, but how can this be the future? How can this we want bigger terrain, bigger tournaments, and I don't see how this can be the way, to be honest. I think we we will need to go in somehow use more of the obscuring terrain feature. We need more area terrain, which is somehow blocking line of sight, but not really. Needs to be a rune or something like this. I'm really looking forward, actually, if there's maybe a US Open 2022 layout. Maybe they learned a lot. Maybe there's going to be, maybe I can imagine something like having the WTC and the US Open somehow be combined, and maybe we get something new. Yeah, so this is maybe about this in general. And then if you look closely, the whole table is dense. Holy shit! What's this? I mean, I understand they wanna somehow balance the game, and I'm totally for it. I really like. I think that the terrain is one of the very few things which we as TOs can use to balance the game, and maybe that's even the only thing we should use to tweak the game balance. But it's weird because like orcs cannot shoot at all in this terrain setups, and certain armies with full rerolls, ignore modifier, whatever, they don't even care. It's weird.
Yeah, that's true, but it seems like it's more of an issue about the respective armies rather than the terrain layouts itself.
What do you mean for specific armies? It's a problem.
Yeah, I mean that some of them get full rerolls and everything, and others don't. So that kind of seems like more of an issue on the army levels rather than on the terrain. I don't know if you'd agree with that statement.
Yeah. I mean, in general, the full reward should go, and also it's so stupid that some armies have a special which says, "Oh, you get dense cover over 12 inches," and then some other data sheet says, "Oh, but you get -1 to hit." Like, how can we not streamline this shit? That's yeah. And then I feel that, like, to be honest, I think the terrain rules are shit in 9th edition. That's really, really bad, and I don't know when we're gonna get good ones. I don't know. Yeah, we probably not in season. I don't know, Nachmund 2 or whatever. Definitely not, because they are not. It's already printed, and they don't care about this now. But yeah, so I think the WTC terrain kind of right now is very good for what we have, but it's definitely not enough, and we need some other more practical solution. And maybe it's only really usable, like changeable, if we really change the core rules in the end, or make up our whole own terrain rules, which of course is very difficult to do. And I hope maybe as I said, the US Open thing is gonna step up again, because already there was the US Open happened, and suddenly, wow, there was a standard terrain layout, and it really, I think it helped the competitive scene a lot. And yeah, maybe I think there's still room to improve.
Yeah, we'll see if with the new ITC season, if there's anything going to change on that front. So yeah, we're getting more into ranting mode. So that should allow us to swiftly jump to the next question. So what do you think of the current release schedule of codices, the meta creep, the power creep of those, and attempts to balance the game, and the state of the meta? Oh, let's put it that way.
Well, it's beta testing a lot. We're testing the new codices, but I have like I think two things I really want to say to that. So the first thing is obviously the rules need to be digital. Please, finally, GW do it, and we don't need to play with rules that are 6 months old because they needed to go through this process. That's ridiculous. Even by standards of business, they need to, like, I don't know, sell us stuff piecemeal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is, because we have rules which publications which are somehow unfinished, and then they include broken rules. And with broken, I don't mean they're overpowered. I mean stuff like truck boys not being able to go into trucks, or players not having the core keyword, or I don't know, bodyguards, crisis, blocking, long strike, and so on. Like this stuff is obviously like, yeah, this is like there's someone did a typing error or something. And I think, and I'm a big, what's the right word? I really want to advocate that TOs need to step up and do something about it. Don't play with these broken rules. Just say what is in these cases reasonable and set it. Yeah, just put it as early in your rules pack as possible, so everyone knows about it, and then they can go accordingly. I've been running with other people the German TTS tournaments, like a German TTS tournament series, the Warhammer tournaments, and in a TTS it's very different. Like I think TTS and analog tournaments have so much in common, and you don't need to always like say that they're different. But what's really different for the tournament setting is that you don't have the hobby lag. You don't have the problem that you need to produce the army or something. So when we do a tournament, which is supposed to start at the beginning of March, and just one at like in the last week of February, some even rules are just leaked. Like, but sometimes you can find like the whole PDF online or whatever. People want to play that, and the people want to play that, and also the TTS tournaments, they last always like 3 weeks or even longer. So you cannot somehow you have the situation you cannot wait for
an official release or something.
Yeah, official release and the FAQ and so on. So what we have been doing in the Warhammer tournaments, we sometimes schedule like a week or two, so at least give the play, like at least wait for the official release, but then like start like a week later or even on the day later or something. But what we always do is we make a tournament FAQ. Like I don't know, like people send us all your questions and they ask, can my truck boys go into a truck? And we said, yes, of course your truck boys can go into a truck. Can the bodyguards block a long strike? No, of course they cannot, and so on. And we have been doing that, and I have been also in contact with some other TOs from Germany or from UK or US, and with just like a little bit talking with each other, I think we always came up with a solution which was the most reasonable, and I hope I'm not wrong on that. If it is, please someone correct me. But I think every ruling we have made later, the FAQ has confirmed, because we're not doing rulings like, okay, crises are broken, we need to fix the crisis, because this is obviously not going to be FAQ or we don't know what. But there are so many things you can see which are stupid, and then you just do it. I don't think we need to play a broken game to like, or just like maybe on this basic level. Maybe the balance is still broken if you need to pay what's the cost of a crisis with a drone again? Like 62 points for a crisis with 3 guns. A shield generator and a drone, which is completely ridiculous. Of course, this is broken, and I feel we cannot change this, but we can change that long strikes being blocked by bodyguards, and I think we really should do that. And yeah.
So and now I'm asking because I really don't know. There is going to be a WTC FAQ as well, right?
Yeah, there is already. It's huge.
But okay, so I thought that I saw maybe even today or yesterday, I saw Pumba say that he is waiting for the official WTC FAQ. So I thought it was not out yet, especially about like new armies. Joker, do you know anything about that?
It's just not been updated. There was supposed to be an update 2 weeks ago, but well, apparently it's still in the works.
Okay, so do you, as captains, interim captains, representatives of your country, do you contribute to that FAQ, or is it something that Tom Adriani or I don't know Neil or someone, they just write this on their own?
Actually, like? We wrote like a tournament FAQ for how to not block assault melee from runes, and then took it and put it into the WTC FAQ.
Okay,
so
they listen.
They listen, yeah, they listen, of course, and every captain has been there in the Discord chat or whatever with them, and they can contribute. Of course, mainly it's done just by themselves, and they just need to handle so many things. So I have a lot of things bad to say about the WTC things, but they have my full understanding because there's so much stuff to handle, and they are the WTC, so they have all the different scenes complaining to them and everyone asking questions. And I mean, I had some. We were actually we wanted to use for our analog tournament the WTC FAQ, and then someone actually dropped because they said, I don't want to read 37 pages of FAQ just to go to the tournament. And I can completely understand this guy, because of course there are entries in this FAQ which are not necessarily FAQ worthy, but have been asked to the WTCTO multiple times, and then they somehow find their way in. So this way people contribute. There's also the official way, obviously, and maybe you are pointing more to that officially every entry can be like changed or newly included if enough captains or interim captains or like representatives of the company, of the country, of the nation, as I say, vote for it. So somehow it is the FAQ by all the captains, but somehow it's also not, because not the whole year everyone is so busy with this. My impression is that actually you guys are maybe people who know the most about actually what's in the FAQ. And I'm honest, like I don't know all the entries of the FAQ. Like maybe where it runs, and then always look through some updates, but I couldn't tell you what if this is in the FAQ. I would always need to double check again, because it's so big and yeah.
And changing all the time.
And it's changing all the time. Yeah, I don't know. And there's some weird rulings in there too. And I think certain like, for example, there's this ruling on you cannot do the, what's this called, like reanimation protocol, conga lining onto objectives or just around the table with Necrons. And I think this is from the beginning of 9th edition, when Necron was one of the new armies, and it felt very abusive to suddenly have Necron warriors move 10 inches towards you. And I've been playing mainly on the TTS tournaments where we used this FAQ, so it has never been an issue. I always, like, from this FAQ, you can only reanimate models in currency with models that have already been there at the beginning of the phase. So you can never really make move closer than base plus 2 inches. Yeah, and then also at the analog tournaments I never played Necrons, because Necrons really quickly became not meta anymore, and people didn't play it that much. So, and recently I played against Necrons, and also I looked into the FAQ, or like the rules as written situation, and I noticed, well, it's actually not that bad, and Necrons are actually in a terrible shape anyways. So I think this is totally outdated right now, and I don't think we need that. And I wish the FAQ would be so much smaller and maybe more rules as written as it is today. Yeah, but it's a difficult thing to juggle, and definitely I mean, they're doing this for their tournament, and they keep saying that, and they're totally right about it, because you're not going to make a tournament, you're not going to make a FAQ for the whole world, because you're only going to get shit for it. No one's going to appreciate it. Everyone's just going to complain about it. So what's your incentive to really do that? And they're just making this for their own tournament. And if any captain or even team member with any connection to the captain is complaining about the FAQ, then I don't know, just lobby, just put your work in, as I said, I don't want to brag about it, but we have made some suggestions and they have been included, and it works. So just, I think if everyone puts in good work, then this will improve this thing. It's still, I guess, in a way, the WTC is still like a community effort, even though it's becoming more and more professional. Especially with this big step from stop being just a 40K part of the ETC to becoming the World Championship for Warhammer 40K. Yeah, let's see where it goes. I mean, we still don't even have a WTC. That's funny too. We keep talking about WTC, but there is no WTC yet. Has never been yet. But of course there will be. We will all meet in Belgium, but it's going to be interesting where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Joker was asking that question, he also mentioned, the GW's attempts to keep the game balanced. So there are like different groups, the WTC people, the US Open people, GW, trying to balance the game. What is your attitude towards the latest GW's idea of the data slate? And they've released 2. The first one.
Well, 1.5.
1.5, yeah. That's probably more proper to say. But do you think it's the right way to go? And the frequency that they announced, that it's going to happen quarterly, is this something that you would expect? Or is this too often, or maybe too infrequent?
Somehow the first image that comes into my mind is this meme of this guy putting like the sticky stuff on this water tank, then it's going over, right? That's the balanced data slate, yeah.
Okay, that speaks volumes.
But I think it's great. I mean, just think, why isn't everything else just a PDF? Just like when I saw this online, it was completely unexpected, and I was like running around my flat, like grinning, happy, and my girlfriend was like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "They did it. They just made a PDF that fixes the game. Like, how can this be so difficult? Finally, please do it. Please, more. Give me. I want it weekly. Come on."
Yeah, exactly. It's like that guy on YouTube who does videos that show how easy stuff can be done very easily, and then he goes like,
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we need. And they show that they can do it. They even show, I heard that GW released, I can't remember what it was, I think it was chapter approved. They released it in France, and then they translated it into French. And the translation was so bad that as an apology, they issued a new version in a PDF file for free. So you can do it, GW. Yeah. You know how to do it. Just start fucking doing it. It's that easy.
Just do it.
Yeah, just like the rules, not the rules, the latest chapter approved, the Nachmund. That's a PDF. This is it's. I mean, it is. Okay, I want to count this now. See, this is, so we have 9 missions because no one plays Incursion. Okay, so we have 18 pages. Okay, and then we have, okay, content we don't need. The battle ready is just a copy. Okay, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 is for the pre-game stuff, and then we have the secondaries, which also reprint of the stuff that was in the right draft. Okay, but we have 4, 6, 8. 9. So 9. So this is 27 pages. This can be a PDF. The FAQ is longer than this now. The rare rules FAQ, I think, is longer than the Nachmund data content. Probably this is wrong, but the rare rules FAQ is ridiculously long. And you guys make me rant so much. I was honestly expecting, when I ordered the Nachmund data, Nachmund Warzone, whatever, chapter approved, Grand Tournament 2021 Season 1 book, that they include the rules. I did.
Like they did in the 2 previous ones, which was actually nice to have in a little book and not in that huge thing, tome.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I also expected? I expected, it has been 2 years now. And we have a rare rules FAQ, which is now, I don't know, I have to scroll through it to find stuff, or even scrolling doesn't work anymore. You have to use search until you find the multiple things where they talk about how they change deployment or what the fuck. And I thought maybe they will include this in the new printed rules, just as like some other website does in the internet, something like this. But no, they don't. So I was pretty disappointed and thought, what the hell? Why they do this? It's ridiculous that they don't put this out online. But of course, yeah, I guess there are other reasons. But it's getting better. I'm very positive. I'm very positive that they did this now, and I think it's good. And I don't know what's the right cycle, if it should be like every quarter or every half a year or something. I just think it's good that they do it. I think it was a big step, because really I didn't think they would do it. I didn't think they would say, okay, we just release something and you can use that. But there's a big downside. I don't know if that's also something that's relevant in your scene, or if you have talked about this before, because for us as really competitive players, and who are like, I mean, we're doing a podcast right now, so we are like following all the new stuff all the time and know when things are happening. But there are so many like kind of competitive players, but they maybe don't have all the time. They just want to, they know the game. I have friends who have played for a long time, but it's hard for them to keep up with all the stuff that's happening. So in a way, like the balanced data slate is also bad for them, because they take the codex, they take the new Nachmund thing they bought, and then they take the old chapter proof, because this Nachmund thing doesn't include rules. And I mean, they're already having three books, and then they come to a game and they want to play, and you tell them, oh no, actually your list is illegal because of this PDF online. Yeah, this is also
document invalidated your book.
Yeah, this is of course this is stupid, but they need to find a solution how to make this better and how to get these people. And when we have all these patches, which I think is great for the competitive scene, it's really difficult to keep people knowing what all the things are. And I have people asking me too, that they said, oh, so the new Kraftwerk Codex is out. Do you think I should start playing now or in 3 months? And to be honest, like if you are like, you have to think what you want. If you want to be part of this meta chasing madness of, okay, I'm gonna print my 15 crises and gonna throw them at you, then yeah, you take the codex now and you look for the most broken thing and put it out there. But in 3 months, probably your book is gonna change, and it could be that you cannot play 9 Void Weavers. Probably, maybe, I don't know. No one knows.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, I don't know. So that's why I said it's really weird, because it's really weird situation that we want the updates, we want everything to be like as current as possible, but by that we also make everything super unstable. And because we are not playing a video game where you can just like you can just choose, oh, no, today I'm not going to play orcs, I'm going to play Drukhari. You just choose a different faction in the like loading screen, but you have to buy and paint and build all the stuff, and then you suddenly also get attached because you painted and all this shit. Then it's weird, because yeah, I wouldn't advise anyone to buy 9 Void Weavers now.
Yeah, and this also implies, I guess, that the entry threshold into the hobby right now, and I'm not even touching the topic of finance, but like the entry level of rules is so high that, you know, for a new player to come into the game, if they want to start playing competitively, they need to buy a book on top of another book, and then have a PDF and another PDF and a data slate. And so it's just so confusing right now. So yeah, I totally agree, and I understand.
And also if they are competitively minded and maybe also have played before, so they understand the core concept of Warhammer, and maybe they don't know all the armies and so on, or don't know like the tricks, and maybe not the best at secondary picking or whatever. If they play and then they face 9 Void Weavers or 15 Crises or so on, like the advice, there's not really real advice you can give someone if they are playing just their favorite faction, except for, okay, yeah, you're gonna lose, and maybe in 3 months you won't. Then you're gonna have a chance.
Yep.
And that is also like feels weird for players, I think. I mean, of course, as I said, if you are really good, then you can also win with some other low-tier faction against 9 Void Reavers and so on. But if you're just some average player and play against someone else, it's going to be a big uphill battle. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So listen, we will slowly be driving this to this conversation to an end, but I wouldn't be myself if I didn't ask. You've mentioned Custodes, you've mentioned Necrons that are quite popular. Which other armies would you now consider to be part of the team composition? Like, which ones are worthy? I've listened to some of your episodes. You did a fantastic podcast about Tyranids, for example. If anyone who speaks German wants to listen to a really good podcast, a really good episode, go and check out Breaking Heads and that episode. But there are many others. So would Tyranids make the cut, for example? I don't know, would Sisters make the cut? Do you have any insight into that, maybe?
I think things, as I said, like things are changing very quickly. Like from today, I think Sisters are in a very rough position. They have. I need to stop being just in a single player position perspective. But I think even if it's not only the top armies, then still Sisters not easy to play. I think Necrons just want to bully someone who's not part of the top 3 armies right now, and I think the top 3 armies, I mean, you can also just go by the stats, is the Custodes, Tau, and the Tyranids. So the Tyranids, even without Crusher Stampede, but especially with the Crusher Stampede, it's very, very doable, very good in objective play. Custodians obviously do whatever they want. They're like Harlequins but in slow, but then otherwise the same. They can do what they want, and they're just very tough. I heard that you guys. I sadly couldn't listen to it yet, but I heard you guys reviewed the Eldari Codex, and I think was it Typhus going nuts about Harlequins? Yep. I think the Harlequins are nuts. And I don't know who wrote this, and looks like a fun army to take to the next tournament if you want to play against the other strong single player armies. I think Craftworld, the Azuriani part, is kind of tricky actually. But maybe I just don't know how strong the indirect shooting is yet, because before the new codex, already the indirect shooting was very strong, and it still had Doom and Jinx and Expert Crafters and Ignore Cover and everything. But my calculation, just like rough in the head, is that actually the shooting, the indirect shooting, is the same as before, but you have so much more tools for all the other stuff. So I guess the army is better overall, but still not like 15 crisis level. Sounds quite difficult to really estimate. But I could also imagine people are bringing, I don't know, 9 what's it called, D cannons, which somehow got cheaper and got more damage. Why? I don't know why. And this is very oppressive, but I don't know how to play the mission yet. So
right.
Someone's bringing Gene Stealer Code. Actually, there's 2 Gene Stealer Code, sparing, and also at least one person is going to bring Gene Stealer Code to an invitational tournament that's going to happen in 1.5 weeks at the 19 and 20s, which will basically be the ranking finals invitational tournament. So we call it the German finals. It was the Tabletop Masters finals before that. And there's a player bringing the GC, and he's actually pretty confident in being able to beat the top armies. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I hear in all the statistics, Gene Stealer Code as a mono faction are so underrepresented. But I don't know yet. I haven't seen it in person yet. I've been so busy organizing stuff.
Yeah, so that's a space to observe, definitely. It's the same in Poland. We have, I would say that GSC is underrepresented. We have, I don't know, I could count maybe with the help of my 5 fingers, maybe 5 players who have been experimenting with them that I know of, maybe fewer. So,
But
yeah,
experimenting or really also playing it at a tournament or in sparring?
2 playing in sparrings, I think, maybe 3. 1 for sure because that's his main army. But other than that, not so much. So yeah, that it's definitely underrepresented.
Yeah, but it also fits. I feel this is very much a specialist army. Like it's hard to pick up just as okay, this is a good build. This is the army list that one, and I'm gonna play it right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So
okay. I think
I have a question to you guys.
Yeah, sure.
And what do you think about the change of the official factions for the team composition in the next WTC? Because they just changed with the new books, Custodes and Eldari. Now, Sisters of Silence and Custodes are one faction. I mean, not a big surprise there, but Azoriani, Craftworlds, and Harlequins are also one faction. So the team can only bring two pointy ear faction, excluding the orcs in total.
Yeah. Joker, your thoughts?
I think it's a bit disappointing, but given that Space Marines are also one book and then supplements, it was kind of expected. But I still think that Harlequins and the Craftworlds are very much different armies. So it's kind of disappointing in that regard.
Yeah, I also think so, especially that they gave Harlequins the possibility to mix with other armies. And you would expect that you will get the possibility to play, for example, Craftworlds as one army and Drukhari mixed with Harlequins, or the other way around, Craftworld with Harlequins and then Drukhari as a separate one. I just don't like this very much. I don't see why we would be limiting the possibility to take as much as possible. And as Joker said, it was expected probably based on of how Space Marines are being treated, but you just gave people a new toy. You just released a new book. Don't take away that fun from them to be able to bring as many as possible. So I think, as far as I know, I think Tiff was mentioned that for the sparrings at least, they are still going to allow team compositions of both. So to bring both. So like one team will be able to bring both Craftworld Eldar and Harlequins for the sake of practicing, simply getting the reps in and so on. But the final ruling, I don't know if the final ruling is already there or not. But I think they're going to try and influence people in the know to make a just ruling to allow to bring as many armies as possible.
Yeah, the captains could still overrule this. I have very mixed feelings for it because I think I'm quite biased because I really like Harlequins and I really like Craftworld, and I think it was my impression that in the last years Harlequins really evolved to its own army. Before that, I always felt it was like a not complete army. People could not play it competitively mono. It would always be just single, and now it's like just a cool army you can just play by yourself. I don't know if you've seen Liam Wiese from Team Belgium. He plays great Harlequins, and he has also played in our TTS tournament and also in analog tournaments in Utrecht and so on. And I think that's really cool to see people really like just taking the 5 data sheets and doing so much.
Make them work.
Yeah, and make them work. That's so great. And like in my very Eldari biased opinion, like I feel like, oh, I want to have some people like this in the WTC, but then like I just imagine this clown coming there and he's like, oh, I just want to play my 5 data sheets, and then they're like, you want to take the whole Craftworld book away from the team? Are you crazy? You have to include, I don't know, whatever this like your D-cannons shit, and they're like, I wanted to make cool stuff.
I agree.
Yeah. But probably the Space Marines players are like I don't know. I definitely don't want to have Blood Angels and Dark Angels in the same team. So yeah, I feel very biased here.
Yeah.
So that's why if I at least can take it, if I don't want to take it if I have to give it to the others too.
Unfortunately, that's how it works. There are two sides to this coin. Joker, do you have any questions? Anything else that we didn't ask that you might want to know?
Yeah, I was curious about one thing regarding tournaments themselves. Do you use the WTC differential scoring during singles, or you just go with win, draw, lose?
That's interesting. So since the introduction of ITC missions, ITC Champions missions in maybe roughly end of 2018, no, end of 2019, I think, things have really skewed towards win, lose, draw as the primary scoring. And well, then was Corona, and then the 9th edition came. So we basically just took the rules as written. So win, lose, draw as the main metric, and then next, this very simple, just counting your points. And I think this is very much the standard in 99% of all the German tournaments, even the big ones, which I really don't like, because I think it's bad to for the second metric just count the points, because it just gives people like oh, you take your 4 points, like after turn 3 the game's over anyways, and then everyone just scores their points and is nice to their opponent. I think it's like a weird game. And I actually I started at our latest tournament in Berlin. We said we want to have win, draw, lose as the first metric, and then take the differential 20-0 scoring as the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
It's also I want to make the team tournaments in WTC format a bit more visible and attractive, but I also think it's better, because I think it's weird if people just play like their single player game. Because it becomes a single player game often after turn 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you guys mainly also use the WTC scoring for like primary scoring? You mean in the tournament pairing and placings?
Yeah, we do. So the primary metric is the 20-0 differential score, and that's been this way as long as I can remember, and it still is now.
Isn't there any lobby that's saying no one should win? I don't know, if they go 4-1 over someone who goes 5-0. Isn't that because we have a big lobby for that?
There are a couple of people who are saying that, but it's hard for them to make their opinion heard because they don't attend any of the big tournaments. So in our local community, there are a couple of guys saying that, oh, this is stupid. How can I win 3 games and someone wins 2 and they're first place and I'm second?
They have to win 3 games first before they can say that.
Yeah. At a big tournament, so that's why it's not. There isn't really any conversation around that.
Plus, the Polish scene is, I would say, the competitive scene is like 100% devoted to the national team and the WTC.
It's such a huge cult.
So whatever happens here, if big tournaments are being organized, we follow the terrain rules. We try to mimic WTC as much as possible. So
you're all slaves to Tom.
Pretty much, yes. But we all sort of agree that each and every single opportunity should be an opportunity where the candidates for the national team can practice, even if it's singles. So at least to get the feel of the battlefield and so on.
Yeah. I think that's great, and I think that's very important to give people this opportunity, because at the end, your armies change and your strategy in game change, and the pick of secondary must change, right? But I have a follow-up question to that. Is like I noticed in our tournament, it was only a one-day tournament. The first 2 rounds, we had lots of 20-0s. And I was a bit worried that it's too easy right now. Maybe it's also part of the state of the meta to just get this 50-point differential. But then in the third round, it got really diverse. Like at all of the top tables, no one made 20-0. What's your experience there in even the big tournaments in the current edition?
I think that 20-0 is quite rare, to be honest. With the exception, only at the last big event we've had, Katowice almost maxed out. So it was a bit of a different event because we played a smaller points amount. It was 120,000. Oh, geez, 1,232. And there was a guy playing Katowice who's won 5 games, 20-0, and then got 12 in the other one because we played 6 games. But that was that's more of an exception rather than something that's usual, I would say.
And if I can add to that, I think what you are describing, Fred, is expected to an extent because you get in the first rounds, you get, let's say least, or not least, but less experienced players playing the very best. Yeah. But so 20-0s are expected. But then what happens in Poland, since the community has also moved to Discord, as you said, but before even in forums, this used to be a thing. People can and are even encouraged to issue challenges to one another. So like we have a tournament happening like in 2 weeks in one of the major cities in Poland, and the list of challenges, people just issuing challenges is like, I don't know, there are like 20 or
that's amazing.
Like yeah, so like people just you pick someone from a name from the list and you go like, dude, do you want to like play against me or something?
Yeah.
So you can sort of pick your poison, so to say, for the first round, and then the pool of the remaining players who don't have a challenge obviously shrinks. So also the possibility of getting a 20-0 score probably diminishes a little bit. So this is what we do in Poland, and I've seen all the majors tournament have like a list of challenges, and it's even people from the national team often issuing challenges to one another just so that they can get the reps in, so they can play against a really competitive player and check themselves.
How can I make people do this? Because I think the Germans are way too stiff for that. They're like, oh no, I don't want to make a challenge, especially not to a good player, because if you're lucky, you just get a free win because you just smash someone game 1 or something.
Well, I think that's maybe it's in the mentality a bit, but I also think that it's important that the guys who pick the team, they've really made it clear that if you want to get on the team, winning tournaments might not be as important as your ability to play against the really top players.
Show your skill in the
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, you might get some lucky matchups and you can end up really high in the tournament, but it doesn't really show your skill as much as beating Vladi or Tifus would.
Yeah.
And it's also
that sounds good.
It's also it might be like getting a beating in the first round from an experienced player has multiple benefits, however insane this may sound. Because first of all, you get to play a player who is experienced, who can tell you what went wrong and how he would play that game if he were you or something like that. That's one thing. So you get their perspective. 2, you get to experience the high level player on the table, which is fantastic if you want to learn and learn the army and all its tricks. And then the third part is, if you lose 20-0, you end up probably somewhere closer to the bottom table, which then allows you to springboard back to the mid of the stake, let's say, because if you end up at the bottom table against another bottom player, it's highly likely that if you're skilled but you lost to a top player, you will still win that game, probably with a high score, and you will go up the ladder, and then another one and another one, and it's not the end of the world. It could mean that you will end up in top 10, for example, by having lost the first game badly. It is also a possibility. So
It's just a submarining. You need to advertise it. It's very good, honorable submarining.
yeah, and there is also one more thing that I think is important, because again, in Poland, it has turned into a sort of a culture around, I don't know, boosting the candidates for the national team. And the people who are willing to, who are applicants for the national team, they are also asked, for example, to write battle reports from their games with the top players, or games from tournaments anyway. And they go to forums, because the forums are still active, and they just write round by round how they played, how they got counterplayed, etc., for the whole community to see. And then people can comment on that, like, why did you do this, or why did you do that, or at least people can discuss it, in Discord and so on and so on. So it's also like it's mutually beneficial, because the player gets feedback, and then the spectators or the readers get insight into some tactics, ideas, what happened, etc. So as I said, there is like a huge culture around that, and many people participate in it. So if you sell it like that to your community, it could become a thing.
Yeah, it's great, because you guys maybe are more, because it's a smaller community, it's more closer together. That's
Definitely.
nice.
Yep. So listen, I think we've covered the majority of the topics that we wanted to cover. Fred, it's been amazing to have you. Would you like to plug anything?
Yes, I have a list. I have to say. So thank you for having me. I want to advertise our podcast and coaching service, and this is not very very great, but we have a coaching service. I started coaching in 2020, basically as the first one doing this in Germany, and now I'm pretty much doing this full time. I'm creating content, and I coach people, new and experienced players, trying to make them better players at 40K. And people can find me on breakingheads.de. I guess I also can't coach in English, but yeah, my players are mainly based in Germany. And we have a podcast where we basically have two segments. One is like a player interview, where I try to get good players who have won with the list, and just talk with them about the list and the matchups and how they came up. And I haven't done this many podcasts of this style in a while, but I want to make them. I always try to focus, like get the, like, what's the player's play style. I want to bring that out somehow. So if you speak German, this is a podcast you can listen to. There's even one. There's also one English podcast. If you're interested, it's the interview I did with Liam, the Harlequin player, which I think is also still quite interesting, even if the book is completely outdated. And then I do have a YouTube channel where you can also find the podcast, Breaking Heads 40K, and we have weekly live streams on that, where we talk about the newest stuff in competitive 40K in Germany. Yeah, thank you.
That's really cool. So yeah, I can strongly recommend, because I've been listening in German, and I've been tuning into to some of the games as well. You also have an Instagram account that people can follow.
Oh yeah, I'm super new media now. I needed to I got Instagram for this business, and I feel like I'm 16 now.
Yeah, TikTok is the next big thing I hear. But
oh shit, yeah.
But I've seen your little videos on Instagram of you actually painting up the terrain for the tournaments, like in wholesale, I would say. There was really an enormous amount. So I watched this like 3 times to actually catch how many pieces of terrain there are and how much work it is. So people, if you want to catch up with Fred and his coaching team and the German national team, make sure that you follow the websites that he mentioned. We are going to put all the links in the video description, or if you're on Spotify or any other podcasting medium, then the links are going to be there as well for you to click. And since I am not sure how this is going to pan out, because we had a technical break in the middle of the episode, we are also going to mention in the comment section, or in the description of the video, all the tournaments in Germany that are going to take place in the near future. And I think Joker also intends to include the list of Polish tournaments that are going to take place in Poland. So if anyone from our listeners or any of our listeners are interested in any of those tournaments, I think we should all work collectively to bring our scenes together. So I do hope that at some point in the future we will meet at one of the tournaments that Fred is advertising, or one of the ones that we are going to be advertising. So fingers crossed that we manage to achieve that.
That's a great effort. That's great.
Yeah, so let's start working towards that. And with that, Fred, I thank you. It was a real pleasure to have you. It's fantastic that you blessed us with a rant or two. We really enjoy that. And Joker, thank you for being an amazing co-host as always.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and we are looking forward to have you again. And to our listeners, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you like, what you would like to hear, what you would like to see. I think we might have an episode in the future where we discuss the sparrings that the Polish national team had. So stay tuned for more amazing content. And until next time, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.